Welcome to our weekly Think Well chat. So if you're new here, this is a conversation just about real talk, real things that happen when you're an ambitious person and you're just trying to live your life, but also take care of yourself. So many of you know I come from the perspective of being a nutrition and eating psychology coach. I work with people on habits and making better choices throughout their life to work with their routine, but let's be real, it is not always a straight path. And the one thing I've learned through my own journey and also just helping others is that things come up and we really need this space to have these open conversations and share what's going on behind the curtain. So this week, I'm really excited to bring you a hot take on self-care. This is being recorded on the week of Valentine's Day, and you're probably hearing all about self-care, but I kind of have a new perspective to consider that I think works well when you have a busy routine and you feel like you've been putting yourself last, making yourself your last priority. And so really excited to dig into that. Just a reminder of kind of what the Think Well chats are all about. I'm not going to edit myself. You're gonna hear my ums, you're gonna hear my flubbed words, you're gonna get the real authentic side of me because this is the closest that I can provide all of you to what my clients receive from me every single time that we work together through coaching. And so it's important to me to just, keep editing to a minimum and have a real conversation that I can welcome you into. So let's dive into self-care. You might, what do you think when you hear the word self-care or the word self-care? I think, as you're taking some time to think about that, things that would typically come to mind for me or a lot of the people I'm speaking with would be a hot bath, getting your nails done, skincare routine, a long walk in nature, buying yourself flowers if you've been nonstop listening to the Miley song like I have. And I think that what's important here is to note that a lot of people will tell you or have expressed that these types of self-care and these activities are really just the surface level. And there's a lot more deep work that can happen to get to that place of self-love. That being said, I also can see the value in a lot of these things. And this entire talk is about building our self-care toolkit. So we're going to refer to these as our tools. And so those tools, I think that they can work for a lot of people. And I personally find a lot of those things I just mentioned extremely healing. I rejuvenate myself. I feel re-energized. So this isn't to say that those things are not what self-care is. This conversation is all about finding what true self-care tools can build your toolkit based on where you are and what you need. Okay. So let's talk the best self-care tools that you can put in your toolkit, and I mean the best. And no, I'm not going to rattle off a list of tools to you. I'm going to give you 3 criteria that I believe, from what I've seen with myself, from what I've seen in the work I'm doing with other people and the people around me, makes the best self-care tool for you, okay? So the first thing, ask yourself, are you doing this thing, having this activity in your life, using this tool with intention? That means, are you is this something that you're just adding to your to-do list and you're kind of entering it in that mindless stage where you're not truly present and you're just trying to get through your day? Because let's be real, I've been there too, and sometimes, I'm like, wow, I could really use a bath, and I spend that bath on my phone trying to schedule a social media post or think of a new idea or online shopping. And so that's where you can take one of these tools and kind of make it not so intentional. So first thing, intention. Are you doing this thing with full intention to better yourself or to make yourself feel better? Number 2, are you doing this for you? And this is where I think you can start to see some of these tools be really effective in your life, and also see tools where you think it's self-care and it might be really good for you, but is it truly for you? So what do I mean by this? Are you going to the grocery store And for some people, that might be an act of self-care, you know, going and just picking out fresh ingredients to nourish your body, looking at everything, experiencing what people are doing and interacting with others, taking a nice drive, loading your bag, planning your meals, whatever it might be. To some people, that's really healing, and that's coming from a place of purely doing something good for yourself that you are taking the time out of your day to do to make sure that you're set up for success. Now, if you're grocery shopping and you're thinking about, well, you know, what does this person like? And oh shoot, like I'm hosting that party and I forgot to do this and I need to pick up that because this person likes that. And oh my God, I'm running out of time. And you can see my point here. This isn't necessarily going to be the best self-care for you. It's something that you can do, of course. It doesn't mean don't do it. We need to shop. But that's where you can kind of see that maybe it's not serving you in the ways that you had hoped. So make sure that what you're doing has this is your time to be selfish a little bit. What is there, you know, what's going on in your day that you're doing that is purely to fill your cup? And then you worry about, you know, everything else in your day. And it's not to please someone else. It's not because you should do it or you could do it because I suggested it. It's just because it fills you. So number 3, self-care tools are great when they give you a feeling. So ultimately what you want to do, you know, when you're performing act of self-care, when you're choosing yourself in this moment, you're doing it with that intention. How do you want to feel? So is this that maybe you're going for a long walk and that walk is going to help you feel calmer because you're having a really stressful day and you kind of know that you need that moment without your phone, without your computer, put your phone on do not disturb. That is a great intention. And you're looking for that feeling. And afterwards, when you come back from that walk, you kind of know that you're a little bit more at peace and, you know, whatever that might bring to you. Now, there's other things that, like, for example, maybe you need to feel creative. You're feeling stuck, you know? It's not always that you're coming from a bad position, but maybe you're feeling stuck. And so this is where you can do something that makes you feel creative. And maybe then that self-care tool would be drawing, scribbling on a notebook. Maybe it's looking at a room and just reimagining what the space could look like. There's so many ways to go about this. And lastly, with that feeling, it could be to continue a feeling that you already have. So you could be feeling like you woke up and you are the queen. You are on top of the world. You could take on anything today. Maybe the self-care that day is taking on something that, you know, maybe you didn't have the confidence to do before, or sitting here and recording yourself, doing a YouTube video, whatever this looks like for you, having a conversation, going out with your friends. That's where a tool can kind of bring out a feeling that you're already having. But ultimately, again, just to recap those 3 things, you want to do it with intention, you want to do it for you and you first, and you want to have a feeling that comes out of it when you're done. I am never someone who just kind of gives you all the examples of things that I do and say, this is the right way to do it. Here's your self-care toolkit. Go run with it, enjoy. But I do think it's helpful to have examples. I love, honestly, when I listen to podcasts or I go online, sometimes there's things that spark new ideas for me, and it's all about trying, right? You got to try somewhere. And so I'm going to share with you some examples of self-care tools that I have in my toolkit for different times when I need them. And these 2 examples I share with you, I'm going to walk you through how they fill my intention goal. They are done purely for me, and they make me have a certain feeling that I need in that moment. The first one is running. So I have a crazy relationship with running, but now, you know, I went from running 8 miles a day on a treadmill, and that was way too much, to kind of a place where now running is really this act of self-care for me. And again, that's unique to my experience. And so I'm going to give you the reasons why, and this is where you can kind of go through those 3 things. First, intention. When I go for a run, I never anymore look at my mileage, I don't have a goal in mind of how far I want to go. I typically, I know how long I'm on the treadmill, because that's, it's winter here in New Jersey, but I don't have a speed in mind. I listen to my body and I go, and my intention for that run is to move my body, but it's ultimately to feel powerful. And that's kind of skipping forward to that last feeling part. But when I have a day where I'm kind of, I'm here, I'm sitting at my desk, I'm online, I'm on my phone, I'm here in my house, I need to just go somewhere and let my mind just go and wander, and that's a run for me. So the intention I have going into that is never to beat myself up if, if I run and 2 minutes in, I'm like, body's not feeling it today. Even if I stop right there, the intention of me going is to give myself that time to just pause and to release. And that is, for me, something that takes me out of my very busy day, where if I'm sitting here, my mind's gonna go to, did I send that email? Or, oh, that needs to be cleaned and the dog needs to go out. And I'm sure you can relate to this endless cycle. Now, going into it being for me, there is nobody who tells me to run. There's nobody who asks me how far I went. Most of the time, I'm going on days I feel like it, at the time I feel like it, and I'm doing that purely for myself. During that time, my phone goes on Do Not Disturb. I love the new fitness Do Not Disturb, so it just kind of signals people I'm in my workout time, and that's why I'm not answering. And it gives me permission to just be with my thoughts, whatever's coming up for me. And I do a lot of processing on the treadmill. Honestly, it's where I come up with a lot of creative ideas, and sometimes I come up with realizations of things that are on my mind but I haven't quite processed yet. And that comes to, again, back to that feeling of feeling powerful. So when I'm on the treadmill and I'm moving my body, I have my playlist in, and sometimes I am just looking around like, I can't believe my body's doing this for me. And I know that I nourish it, and I know that I do all these things, but wow, like, I'm powerful. And feeling that way to me is one of the most, as someone who tends to be a little bit insecure, question myself, it just gives me that reassurance that, like, I'm so capable of a lot of things. And so that's the feeling that I try to get out of that. Well, that's it. I won't go too far into more examples, but I hope that those kind of help you think through your own process. And maybe you're seeing that something that you are being told is self-care and you're doing is not necessarily serving you, or something that you do all the time that makes you feel good is actually self-care and you didn't think about it before. Whatever it might be, I am so excited to see how you build your toolkit. And also just remember, like, yes, we all want to be able to have time to kick up our feet and watch TV and take a bath. But these things, like I'm mentioning, take my break to take a run, or walking the dogs in the morning, or simply cleaning the house. Some of these acts, when you are really busy, can be made intentional into your self-care toolkit to counteract those times where you really just don't have the time in the day. Simply taking a deep breath in the morning can be part of your toolkit. Just cleaning yourself up and getting ready for the day every single morning, looking yourself in the mirror and telling yourself you admire everything that you are and what you look like and who you're presenting to the world. All of these things, it's totally up to you. But I'm excited, like I said, to see what you come up with. Please comment on this video if you have any ideas of your own. I also will be opening up the polls this weekend on my Instagram account, Think Well by Jess, and I really love, honestly, to hear your thoughts on this conversation. So DM me, comment, whatever you'd like to do. Next week, I'll be back to talk about simple meal prep ideas for people who really are too busy to cook, bringing that nourishment into your life. Thank you for chatting with me, and I'll see you next time.